All right, in case you haven't noticed, there is a massive coordinated effort from the White House to the mainstream media to gaslight whistleblowers that are on ground zero in the devastation left behind from Hurricane Helene. Why are they doing this? We're going to show you why I believe that's happening and why this agenda is unfolding before our eyes. Let's go.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, what's going on, guys? It is Tuesday, October 8th, 2024. We want to welcome you to End Time Headlines. This is news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. Of course, I'm your host, Ricky Scaparo. I'm the founder and pastor of End Time Headlines. Everybody that's on here tonight, we welcome you to the program. You guys that are watching by Rumble, by YouTube, maybe you're listening by Apple or by Spotify. Maybe you're coming over from Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or wherever you may stumble in here upon. Maybe you're new. If you're new, let us know in the comment section below or in the chat that you're new and where you guys are joining us from. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, guys, help us out. Do us a favor. You can just simply hit that like button. If you hit that like button, it's going to help us get our material out there, get eyes onto our program and our messages so that others can also benefit from these messages like you do. And of course, before we get started, guys, I would love for you guys to check out our free app. Again, go to your Play Store, Apple, Android, whatever that looks like for you. Go to your Play Store, download our free app today, hit yes to push notifications. This way you can keep up with our ministry right there in the palm of your hand on your device. And again, this is also available on tablets as well. So if you have a smartphone, a tablet, again, you can pick up our app today, and it's absolutely free and it's beneficial to you and it'll be a blessing to you. And if you're watching this by the visual, under the description of this video, it says download our free app. If you'll just click on that link, it'll take you right there to it. So today, guys, I want to talk about all of the massive coordinated efforts of the gaslighting that's going on. Before we get to that, this podcast is gonna be three parts. One, we're gonna discuss the impact that you may or may not know of Hurricane Helene in the areas in which it struck and caused catastrophic devastation. Then we're gonna shift gears and we're gonna give you some we're gonna do some reaction videos and show you some people that are there, locals, recovery effort organizations that are there, boots on the ground, that are seeing things firsthand and what they're reporting, what they're saying. And then in the last part of this, we're going to show you how, again, from the highest place of office, from the White House, all the way down to mainstream news outlets, media outlets, even the newspaper publications are all gaslighting anyone who is coming forth, any whistleblowers from the inside that are telling us what's really going on down there in these areas that have been just completely devastated by Hurricane Helene. So let's get started. I want to share this with you. Again, this is a report that came from CNBC. Virtually all of the world's supply of high quality or high purity, quartz, which is a mineral required to produce semiconductors, comes from a tiny town in North Carolina, and of course it was devastated by Hurricane Helene. One expert, who was an industry expert, said, quote, "If something were to happen to these mines, it could put the entire industry on its ear, period. The two companies operating mines in Spruce Pine have all paused operations since Thursday. The Quartz Corps says they have no visibility as to when activity will resume." Let me say that again. I don't know if that resonates to you yet. Virtually all of the world's supply of semiconductors are manufactured out of this small North Carolina town that comes from these mines in Spruce Pine. And one industry expert said, quote, if something were to happen to these mines, it could put the entire industry on its ear. Now, as of the recording of this, 2 companies operating there have ceased operation since last week. And there is, quote, no visibility as when activity will resume. Spruce Pine, North Carolina, has no running water or electricity more than a week after, and this is 2 weeks now, going on 2 weeks, after Helene ripped through the town of 2,200. Roads and railways in and out of the area are severely damaged, according to local officials. The mines in Spruce Pine produce the world's purest form of quartz, again, which plays a central role in this chip manufacturing process. Now the town's exceedingly valuable supply of high-purity quartz is at risk, threatening to cripple the $600 billion global semiconductor industry. Wow, guys. Let me pull that up here and say this one more time and highlight this. Hurricane Helene, the damage that's been done there is putting at risk the threat to cripple this 600 billion with a B global semiconductor industry. The natural disaster unfolding in Spruce Pine also highlights the continued instability of global supply chains more than 4 years after the pandemic drove home to Americans how dependent they have or had become on imported goods. And 2 companies, Sibelco and the Quartz Corps, extract the high-purity quartz in Spruce Pine, refine it, and export it to manufacturing facilities based primarily in China and other parts of Asia. Much of the refined high-purity quartz is then used to create a vessel called a crucible, which holds silicon as it is melted and transformed into the wafers on which semiconductors are made. By mining, refining, and shipping are all on hold for now. Let me say this. But mining, refining, and shipping are all on hold. And again, as a report of this, the Quartz Corps said in an October 1st statement that the company has no visibility as to when their operations will even resume again. So according to this report, they're going to be faced with 2 dilemmas. Experts say that there's a 2-part question. First, the operators need to determine whether there has been any damage to the quartz mines themselves or to the equipment that the company used to extract or refine the mineral. If mining operations can indeed start up again, the secondary question is how either company will be able to transport refined quartz to export markets given the state of some of the infrastructure in Western North Carolina. So guys, listen to me. The mainstream media may not be talking about this, but this has the potential to be absolutely catastrophic to the U.S. economy. All right, if that's not enough, here's insult to injury. Hurricane Helene flooding in North Carolina stirs yellow jacket swarms, prompting distribution of Benadryl and EpiPens. The deadly flooding ensued by Hurricane Helene in western North Carolina has disrupted underground nests of stinging insects, causing them to swarm workers and residents trying to recover from the storm. The surge of stings from yellow jackets, bees, and other insects has prompted the state health department to buy Benadryl and epinephrine injections as aid groups also work to acquire the medications and get them to those in the affected areas. Now, here's something that you may or may not think about, but remember, all of this is happening when we're also seeing this rise of this triple E mosquito virus. Remember that? This mosquito-borne virus that what they were doing mandatory lockdowns or shut-ins in certain states up north. They were having curfews put in place because of this mosquito-borne virus that's spreading around the nation. And now here you have, think about it, guys, all of this water and saturation is an absolute breeding ground for mosquitoes. So you can absolutely see that this is just an absolute disaster, literally. I mean, I'm not trying to make a pun here. I'm just saying that these are the secondary consequences to this disaster that's already there. That's why I said it's an insult to injury. So we can see that, this thing is just, it's far from over as far as the disasters that keep mounting, the secondary things. And also think about all these residents are going to have to be concerned with the toxicity of the water, the sewage that's leaked into that's seeped into the waters that ran through those areas, and they're wading through this, and this is on their skin. They're exposed to this. So you got all of this going on, and this and that. And then, and speaking of insult to injury, all of these folks were looking to the government, wondering, where is FEMA? Where is our help? When is the resources coming? And this is where we're going to get. I told you there's 3 parts of this podcast. The first, the middle section, and then the end. Now we're going to move into the middle, and we're going to show you how we got up to the point where the gaslighting begins. All right, so here we go.
Pressure is now mounting on Congress to approve more money for the Federal Emergency Management Agency so it can address the widespread damage from Hurricane Helene.
This all comes as the agency is still playing catch up on older national disasters. Chad Pergram reports.
FEMA has money to tackle Helene, but the severity of the storm is bleeding FEMA's coffers dry. That worries Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
Okay, I want to rewind this. Look at the statement this man made. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season. I know this is kind of old news, but we're going somewhere with this today because I want to show you this. They don't have the funds to make it through the season. Now, there has been, again, this has set off a firestorm of criticism, and that's what we want to get into here.
Through the season.
The hurricane season runs through November 30th. The storm may alter the congressional calculus for disaster relief. While Congress is expected to reload FEMA just before Christmas, it may need to pass a bill as soon as lawmakers return to Washington in mid-November.
It will take some time to tabulate this storm. It's one of the biggest in our history, of course.
Lawmakers representing devastated areas demand action now.
I'm more than willing to come back tomorrow from a legislative standpoint to make certain that we have the funding appropriated and ready to go.
The price tag for Helene could be massive, but some lawmakers believe the storm gives Congress an opportunity to recalibrate priorities.
And they're already saying it's going to be hundreds of billions of dollars, and when it's all said and done, hundreds of billions of dollars.
We give $20 billion a year to FEMA. And unfortunately, they have drained everything dry with all the illegal aliens coming in. We spent $200 billion in Ukraine. We spend $2,500 a month on all illegal aliens.
However, there are
there's your, if you want to know where all the funds went and why it's empty, there you go.
different accounts for FEMA's disaster fund and the migrant crisis. DHS says it was, quote, false. The agency diverted hurricane money. The White House accused Republicans of using the storm to divide people before the election.
And there goes the first gaslight. Here's a report this is from Fox News. Mayorkas says FEMA has no more disaster funds, but the Inspector General report says agency is literally sitting on billions of dollars. According to this report, the DHS Inspector General released a report saying that FEMA is sitting on at least $8.3 billion in untapped, unspent funds. So the question is, why? Why aren't they tapping into that? Where are they going to distribute that money to? All right, and again, guys, I don't want to rehash. Some of this has been drilled in repetitively, and it's like we're beating a dead horse here with this, because most of our audience already knows and they're aware of where that money was allocated to. I don't care what the fact checkers and all that stuff. It's been proven that it did indeed. Come on, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul. And then we wonder why we don't have the funds to help our own people. It's insulting and it's sad that we're in this state. Now I want to take you to, let's take you to some folks that were there, ground zero of this event.
So this interview with FEMA that was recorded, it doesn't make me look real good because I'm and we'll release it today because I'm just very quiet because I really was just like don't whatever it is you're thinking, Glenn, don't. And we went up.
Now, let me give you a little backdrop on this because I didn't want to play both these videos because it'd be too long. Glenn Beck and Mercury One, which is a disaster relief agency that he works through, directly affiliated with, they went firsthand, boots on the ground, went to those areas in North Carolina. They saw the disaster. They spoke with people there that were affected. And Glenn went up to, there was a FEMA, there was workers from FEMA there. And so that's where he's going with this. And he actually went up to them, spoke to them, and interviewed. They got all the footage of this. And he's going to give you the details of this.
To them. And they were sitting under this tree at a card table with folding chairs. They were all in their FEMA vests. And I had just been where people were moving water, moving food, trying to help people, like crazy stuff. And so so we went, and they were way off in this parking lot all by themselves and sitting under a tree with some folding chairs. And, but all dressed with the FEMA, workers' outfits. And I said, hey, what are you guys doing here? And a guy said, well, we just got here last night. And I said, oh, really? Yeah, so we couldn't do anything when we got here last night. So today's really our first day. But wow, it took us a lot longer to get here than we thought. And I'm thinking, yeah, like 7 days longer than you would have thought.
You hear that? 7 days. So at least from their sources, FEMA took 7 days from the disaster. That is a long time to be without power. No communications, no power, no food, no water, no gas, nothing. You're left out there. Some of these people were left stranded on their rooftops in the midst of floods, in the midst of the water and the raging water. Some of these people were trapped in trees. Their vehicles. 7 days. This is completely unacceptable, guys.
And he said, it's hard to get here. No crap. This is when I start shutting down, okay? After he says, it's really hard to get here. I'm like, you're FEMA!
Right.
That should have been quite obvious to you. And I said, so what are you doing here? And he said, well, as soon as we get the truck, up and running, and I noticed that the air conditioning was running inside the truck, which was good for them. He said, as soon as we get this all up and running, we're taking people's information right now, so we can, that satellite up there just beams all the information right to Washington. So,
wow, really? So it took you 7 days to get there. You're not distributing food, not distributing water, no first aid, no medical aid. Instead, you're going down with your stupid clipboard and your pen, or probably your tablet, whatever, and you're you're taking information so that you can relay it to Washington so that they can get you in their computer-based system, and then they can determine whether or not you can get your $750 check. Again, another slap in the face to Americans.
We can get them registered so they can get some aid. And I just was thinking, oh, good, just what people need, red tape and paperwork.
Right.
Yeah, because we'll get that check right to them in their mailbox. They don't have any mailboxes. But that wasn't the end of it. It got much, much worse. FEMA is on the ground in two places that we saw. That one, which is doing nothing, and the other one where they've just built some showers. Not for the people, but for the volunteers that are there to help. Congressman.
So And he said he saw FEMA in 2 locations. One, they're out there with folding tables, sitting around with an air conditioning truck running so that they can get their clipboards and their pen and go around and take information from people so they can get them registered to get their $750 check, as Glenn pointed out, in their mailbox that they don't have any anymore. Then he saw another group of FEMA workers in another location setting up showers, not for the people that's been completely displaced for 7 days, that may be cuts and bruises and wounds, and they're covered in filthy water and sewage and God only knows what. No, those showers were not for them. It was for the FEMA workers in case they got, too hot and too sweaty. Because, they may be out there too long taking down names to get these people registered, and they may break a little bit of a sweat, and they may get a little bit of an odor under their arms, so they may have to go get a quick shower and get in that air conditioning and get cleaned up again, and then go back out there and hit it on the second round.
And FEMA is despicable. You know me if you've listened to this program for very long. I don't like to use the word treason. I really don't, because it's the only thing in the Constitution that spells out, the punishment. And I don't like calling people traitors, and I won't today. But I will tell you, a case could be made that there are a lot of people that are bordering on the line of treason. Our country is being dismantled. Our country is being torn apart. That FEMA has spent, let me see if I can get this exactly right. I want to get these right. FEMA has spent $1.4 billion on immigrants, illegals, okay?
Listen to that staggering number, folks. Listen to that.
$1.2 billion on rehousing, flying these illegals in without your knowledge. We paid for all of it. $174.2 billion. Okay. And how much, can I ask, how much? It was $750. And in Hawaii, they got $700. So $700 in Hawaii, $750. But don't worry, that's gonna be very helpful. They just lost everything.
Again, it's a slap in the face to Americans. And isn't it interesting how there's such a comparison? 2 major disasters, completely displaced, annihilated, destroyed, wiped out entire communities, people's lives, and the government comes in and throws them some measly beans and rice. Here's $700, here's $750. I mean, it's just spitting on people that have lost everything. Yet the illegals, they get the red carpet. They get the housing. They get the benefits. They get all the money. They get all this stuff. But our own people get the cold shoulder. And you wonder why people are so flustered and fed up in this country. Because our eyes have been open. Most of us have already seen this, but I think more and more and more people are waking up when they're seeing what's going on.
It's embarrassing as a nation. It is embarrassing. By the way, the electric vehicle chargers, where they have put 2, that's $7.5 billion. The high-speed internet, which didn't happen, we spent $42.45 billion. The high-speed internet thing didn't happen. But they've got, don't worry, on a surprisingly quiet hurricane season, they're out of money.
Right.
First of all, I'd like to remind the government, no, you're not. You print money all the time.
Come on.
This is the one time where you're like, gosh, guys, if we print more money, man, it'll just cause inflation. It'll be really bad. Really, really bad.
Yeah, think about that. he's got a good point right there. They're printing money like it's nothing. Just boom, boom, boom. More money to Zelensky, more money to illegals, this, that, and all this other goofy stuff. The alphabet community and this and that, and different agencies and different organizations just funneling money out. But here we have one of the worst disasters in U.S. history. Lives have been lost. People have been displaced. Families are completely destroyed. And again, let's give them a bucket of peanuts and show them how much we love and care. We've got your back.
And besides, the printing presses are booked for the next month and a half because we're printing so much money for Iran and Ukraine.
Yep.
Out of money. Huh.
Well, don't forget Lebanon. Don't forget them either.
I don't remember voting to bring all these illegals in and house them and feed them and give billions of dollars through most likely many corrupt NGOs that are wasting our money. I don't remember that. I don't remember voting. You know what we should do? We should go into other countries and find some people that want to come here, and we'll just pay their way. We'll find out who they are and then say, come to America. Where do you want to go? You want to go to Kansas City? They got the Chiefs. It's great. You go to New York. You know, some great little restaurants and bistros everywhere. You're going to love it. And it's a free ticket. And then we'll set you up in a really nice hotel, or ones that used to be really nice, and free food and $2,500 just because you're so oppressed. So oppressed. I can't even take how oppressed you are. So you get $2,500 and you get a free phone, and you get a free phone, and you get a free phone. And $750 for these people who have been paying taxes, hardworking, regular people. And you can't even fly a helicopter in to get people off their roofs.
Man, he dropped it right there. Just dropped the mic. Boom, laid it on them.
And you show up a week late.
Right.
By the way, I want to thank President Biden for, taking that aerial view in. He just didn't want to disrupt anything. And he only stopped our rescue helicopters from rescuing people for 4 hours. So,
But this is the same guy that didn't even know which storm. When the press asked him, what are you going to do? How are you going to react to this? When are you going to start sending aid? He said, which storm are we talking about now?
Oh, that was great. Didn't piss the rescuers off at all. At all. So anyway, FEMA is there. And I said, so why are you guys here? We took a van. There were 10 of us in this van. And we were going back to the food distribution point. And, everybody's looking out the windows and seeing stuff. And I said, whoa, hold on. Turn around. You guys see the FEMA truck? Everybody. I didn't see the FEMA truck. Yeah, it's tucked back in the corner behind this, I don't know, Michael's that is closed. And so we went into the cops everywhere. Food is on the other side, like a Lowe's, garden shop. And all the attention when you drive in, all the attention is over there because people are going to get food because they don't have any food. But behind the Michael's that's been closed, and I think next to the Chuck E. Cheese, which was so busy. No, they were closed too! Was under a tree, this FEMA truck. And I said, so, what are you guys doing here? Well, we're getting everybody, to sign up for the aid. Okay, all right.
Yeah, they're already handing out.
they're the crowd is down there. There's only one person at your table. Yeah, I know, but that's because we haven't really announced where we are yet. I'm thinking that's probably good. I said,
probably because you haven't been there in 7 days. Nobody cares at this point. They're not looking for you, FEMA. They were looking for you on day 1, and you didn't show up. And then they were like, well, maybe they'll come on day 2, and you didn't show up. Day 3, you didn't show up. It's been a week. They could give 2 rips what you're doing. They don't care. These people, they've got to get there is people that needs formula for their babies. Their food, water, distribution, supplies, first aid, they're going to go to where they're getting it. They could care less about your stupid organization that wants you to sign paperwork and go through all the red tape, as Glenn talked about. This is unbelievable, guys, that this is happening in America.
What do you mean? And he said, well, our flyers haven't arrived yet. So we're waiting for our own flyers that say, FEMA is here.
What?
I'm like, oh, flyers. We didn't think of that flyer thing. We just went, to where everybody is, and then we didn't need flyers. But I didn't say that. At this point, I was like, don't say anything at all. Don't say anything at all. And he said, well, we just have to be where the people are. And I said, that's good. And I'm thinking, that's not here. When do you move there? And I said, so you're doing this with the flyers? And he said, no, we also, we're going to tell the media. And so, radio, television, it'll be everywhere. And I thought, I don't see a lot of people sitting down in their living rooms because their living rooms have washed 4 blocks down the street with their televisions in it. Maybe they have a little portable television that they just have to plug in. Oh, no, they don't have any power. And I said, they're probably not watching TV. And he said, but the word will get around. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And he said, and there's an app. This is the greatest app. This app will do everything.
Oh my gosh.
And all they have to do is just download it on their phone. And
accept the fact that.
And Corey said, well, they don't really have power to plug their phones in.
Or
he
service.
said, yeah, but a lot of people can just go to their cars and plug their cars, plug the phone into the car to charge it.
Can you believe this? This sounds like a bad comedy skit. This sounds like a absolute joke that these people are actually saying this stuff.
And we pointed out to him, you mean the cars, turn around. See that river? See all the cars that are in the creek now that are destroyed? You mean they're sitting in those cars? Because they no longer have cars.
Idiots.
That's what was happening in my head. I just said, he said, but we have to be where the people are. And I said, well, if the people don't come out, and he said, well, then we go door to door. And I think that's good because they don't have doors. And I said, when do you do that? And he said, well, that's above my pay grade. It's the government. So, I don't have that information. Is there anybody here?
You have to laugh, guys, to not lose your mind. It's how do you deal with tragedies? You're either going to blow up, go into full just a meltdown, breakdown, or it's not funny. It's not. And I feel bad, but it's just so stupid and idiotic that I can't believe we're having this conversation. I can't believe these people are actually saying this. But are you surprised? This is our federal government. Boy, all of you guys in Florida, thank God you're leaving. I would not stick around and hope for the government to bail you out. And I know you got more sense than that. You know that they're not coming. You can forget about it.
That does have them. Yeah, my boss. Where's your boss sitting at the table? No, in the air-conditioned truck right now. She's in the air-conditioned truck.
Of course she is.
Oh, good. Can you maybe go get your boss? Tell her, she'll have to come out here where it's hot, but she can go right back into the air-conditioned truck where she can get away from all of these people. And so she comes out. She was a delightful lady. And we said, he didn't know when you start going door to door. And she looked at him and she said, we don't go door to door. You don't go door to door. No, we're here, where it's all happening. And I looked at Corey and Corey looked at me and we're like, it's not happening here. This isn't where people are. I mean, if you want to be a little closer to where people are going, you should go where the food is. Yeah, well, we were talking about that today. Oh, okay, good. And the truck doesn't really work yet, but we're still gathering information because the relief that these people can get, it's just amazing. I bet it is. And then I just started to back away from this, I don't even know, murder scene. It was just so ugly. And I just started backing away, and Corey looked at me and just smiled. And he's like, thank you for your time. And he said, boy, I've never seen you so quiet. And I was like, don't have anything nice to say. Don't say anything at all. You don't want to know what I was thinking in my head.
All right, then we have the death toll that is being heavily, and that's an understatement, the death toll is being heavily underestimated. They're telling us, what is it now? The official death toll is like, what, 280, 300? And guys, I'm telling you, that is way, way underestimated. And the sad thing is there's people there on the ground, first responders, that are telling you, they're telling people, they're telling the media. In fact, look, I don't want to tell you first. Let's pull up a video. Let's show you firsthand what we're talking about. And I'm going to prove to you that this is being heavily suppressed. And then you have to ask yourself, again, the question is why? Why is all this being so heavily suppressed?
This is they're still assessing the full impact of Helene on western North Carolina, an area where I am hearing things could be much worse than we know right now, with limited information getting out of those decimated communities. Law enforcement sources assisting in the efforts telling me that in certain areas they ran out of body bags.
In certain areas, coming from the first responders, police officers, that they're running out of body bags. But yet, if someone from the local area, which we're going to show you one here in just a minute, if they get out and if they get on a TikTok, or they get it out on YouTube, they get it on the Instagram, they get it out on Facebook, and they say this, these social media sites will censor them. They'll flag them and say it's false information and it's dangerous to spread misinformation. You're not there. So stop gaslighting these people. This is an insult to these people who are there firsthand and that are seeing it, that are handling it, that are burying their loved ones, that are having to say goodbye. And you're out there telling them, well, they don't know what they're talking about. They're spreading misinformation.
And the death toll could surpass that of Hurricane Katrina, which was almost 1,300.
Wow.
Now, let's hope that's not the case. And it's always hard to know exactly what everyone else is doing. Rescue efforts now transitioning into recovery operations, slow going, with the hardest hit areas still virtual war zones, swallowed by mud and debris, searchers going door to door and car to car, searching for anything. Mobile morgues have been requested in some mountain counties as the effort continues in and around Asheville.
Mobile morgues have been dispatched to certain regions.
That's what we know. This is what we know officially, all right? Officially, the death toll stands at 235 from the hurricane, at least 115 of those in North Carolina. That number's days old.
Right.
This is the Governor Roy Cooper.
There are some very isolated communities that...
Oh, look, there's FEMA. There's a lady that works at FEMA. Wait till you see it. We're going to show you what she has to say in just a moment, too.
They're doing airdrops and working to find temporary ways to get to them. But if you knew what was happening on the ground, you would see that there is a coordinated effort to help people. There are soldiers.
I sure hope it's better than what FEMA's doing.
And National Guard and emergency management people going door to door, working to try to find.
How are they? Well, I guess if they have a door.
Find people.
Now, there are also a lot of lies going around about what is and isn't happening on the ground.
Here we go. Here we go. Gaslighting. And by the way, if you're watching this and you're saying, well, Brother Ricky, you keep using this term. What is gaslighting? I don't understand what gaslighting is. By definition, gaslighting is the physiological manipulation technique where an individual or a group makes someone question their perception of reality, memory, or sanity. This involves repeatedly denying the truth, lying, or distorting facts to make the victim feel confused, doubtful, or dependent on the manipulator. Oh, let that soak in. The term comes from the 1938 play Gaslight, in which a husband manipulates his wife into believing she is going insane by dimming the gas lights and insisting this is all in her head. It's imaginary. Examples of gaslighting can be, quote, the denial, which is the gaslighter denies actions or events even when there is clear evidence. Let me say that again. Denial, when the gaslighter, the mainstream media, Washington, organizations, politicians, their actions or events are denied. They deny actions or events even when there is clear evidence coming from people who live there, who've gone through it. Then there's what's called twisting information. The manipulator distorts facts or conversations to confuse the victim. Then there's what's called minimizing emotions, where in which the gaslighter might tell the victim they are, quote, overreacting or too sensitive. So just to let you know, that's what gaslighting is. Let's go back to our video here, because we're going to hear some of this.
Outrageous, harmful lies.
Hold on, let me rewind it. I want you to hear what this man says.
Now, there are also a lot of lies going around about what is and isn't happening on the ground. Outrageous, harmful lies.
Okay, let's hear what these outrageous and harmful lies are.
Lies that may be actively hurting those already suffering.
Like,
we'll get to that in a minute, though.
Oh, okay.
But I also don't quite understand why local officials are not sharing with the broader public the scope of the devastation.
They are sharing it. I'm like Glenn, man. I get flustered. They are sharing it. But it's being controlled. It's being suppressed. It's being shadow banned. It's being flagged as dangerous misinformation and disinformation. So stop saying that they don't understand why the information is not going out. It is. And every time it gets out there, it gets blasted. It gets suppressed. It gets thrown off out of the algorithm. If you Google it, you're not going to find it. Come on, man. Wake up.
I've talked to numerous law enforcement sources who are working so hard out there. First of all, thank you to all of them.
Yes,
they tell me they've been specifically told they're not allowed to discuss the situation publicly.
Why? Why? Why are they not allowed to discuss it publicly?
Let's talk to Brandon Doherty. He's the CEO and co-founder of Operator Solutions. He and his team were on the ground in North Carolina to help in the recovery operations. Thanks very much for coming on. Appreciate it. All right. First of all, talk to me about some of what you've seen on the ground there.
Yeah, well, you know, Dan, it was devastating, way worse than anything that I have seen before. And just to give you some context, I served in Hurricane Katrina, Rita, all the major hurricanes, hoisted out over 130 people during Hurricane Harvey. My team did. And I was not expecting what I saw on the ground in North Carolina. It was way worse than what I thought it was going to be, and way worse than probably anybody can imagine. I mean, you know, we flew out there because we heard that people desperately needed help, and the government wasn't stepping up and helping them. And
how dare him say that? How dare him say that? That's dangerous. Oh, brother, that's dangerous. You shouldn't say that.
And that there was absolutely no organization, no rescue effort in place. And I, as an American patriot, I couldn't sit back and do nothing. So my team assembled and we passed the hat to pay for gas money for our helicopters. And we flew out and on our own dime and just went to work immediately. And it was absolutely chaotic.
And I assume there are, look, what we're hearing is that, there's a lower number of those missing now. Okay, that makes sense.
Not sure if I believe that.
They're finding some people, but the reality is I think that the numbers when it comes to deaths are going to be much higher, I think, than anyone is expecting.
Yeah, look, I mean, so many of those houses, they still have not even been able to get to. I mean, right. I'm back in Florida now preparing for the next hurricane. But as I left, there was still a lot of areas where they had not actually had people on the ground, going door to door, checking on people. And so I'll put it this way. There was areas where there was just dirt plots. And when I talked to the locals, they said there used to be 6 houses in that exact area. And now it was nothing more than a mud puddle. You would never know that there was even houses there. And so,
wow.
Where are those people if they were in their home? I mean, we can only pray for them and hope that, that somehow they got out of there before the floodwaters got too high. But it's absolutely devastation like we've never seen before.
All right. Well, here's a lady that is literally in Asheville, there, ground zero. This is not a reporter. This is not a journalist. This is not a FEMA worker. No, she's not affiliated with any of them. She is there helping with efforts. Listen what she has to say.
Way out.
And
he had to climb the mountain.
He rode out the winds and the river and everything in the woods.
Absolutely. All of these people on this road here, anybody that is alive on this road, which by the way, I've heard social media saying like there are 8 dead in Spruce Pine. Maybe they have 8 confirmed bodies, but I have to tell you the truth here, folks. You can smell the bodies in certain places along the river.
That's a heavy statement. Again, she's there, right there.
There were vultures out. They have marked, with they being the National Guard, have marked over 100 bodies in a 6-mile stretch of river.
Over 100 bodies in a 6-mile stretch of the river.
Bodies, yeah. Just where they think they are. You can't see them, guys. The bodies, the smells, the things are either buried in sand or they're up in the trees and they're crushed in sediment.
Wow. Wow, that's so sad.
I saw a chicken right there. You couldn't really tell. Like you'd smell something, but you saw flies.
Yeah,
So the National Guard, is there a lot of National Guard helping right here?
There weren't at first. The first 4 days, 3 to 4 days, we were down here by ourselves. We were helping each other. This entire thing got cleared to here by locals, by the local farmer and our neighbors.
See, that's the common thread that you hear. There were no National Guard, no FEMA, no rescue effort for days, almost a week. It was all up to the people that you're on your own. And listen, how many of these agencies clown on us who prep, who prepare, who are ready for a disaster, and they laugh at us, they make fun of it, they gaslight us. All those conspiracy theorists and those apocalyptic fanatics that think that the world's going to end and disaster's coming, and they're the preppers. Well, think about it, guys. Shame on you if you go around telling people not to be prepared for disasters, because you read the Bible, friend. You read Matthew 24, Luke 21, Mark 13. It is evident that disasters are only going to increase.
The evacuations that happened on this road were primarily started by myself and my neighbors and the local farmers on this road. And then the National Guard got here the day before yesterday. I'm so confused on my days because I haven't had internet or Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But the National Guard did get here, and the National Guard, in collaboration with some fire and rescue folks, were able to help us airlift a 96-year-old couple that had dementia, and they needed to leave. They couldn't stay here. And so we were able to get choppers to them and get them out.
That's good.
But, people are still missing. They have They are now bringing in body recovery teams. Their goal is to specifically get and retrieve bodies so that they can get them to the medical examiner and check their teeth records. So that process is really hard. And it's going to be really challenging. Like, a gentleman handed me body bags, which I had body bags in my car all day yesterday. And I had to explain to him something that had to be explained to me, even as a rescuer. When I watched the National Guard and they confirmed that the smells I had been smelling were most likely bodies, I was like, well, where are they so I can get to them? You can't get to them. They're crushed in debris. They're up in trees. They're under sediment. They're under sand. Unfortunately, it will be a very long time before you find all these people.
Man, that is absolutely horrible, guys. And remember to pray for that woman. You could hear the distress and the trauma in her voice. She's breaking down. I mean, my heart just breaks for these people. All right, so now we're going to move into our final stage of this podcast. We talked about the repercussions economically speaking and structurally that this disaster has caused. Then we showed you real time, real people, boots on the ground, what they're saying, what they're seeing, and the response from the government and these agencies and from locals. We just showed you a couple clips of that. Now I want to show you the reaction. And then that reporter said, why aren't local officials and the first responders, why aren't they telling us what's really going on? They are. And I'm going to show you, when they begin to talk about this, or watch this, or if you dare have an opinion, you dare question, how can a storm go from a Category 1 in less than 24 hours explode to a Category 5? How can a once in 100-year storm happen twice in 3 weeks? And if you dare question that, and you dare put out an opinion of, well, it is interesting that these storms are a month out from the election and they're devastating key voting areas like the state of Florida, which is a swing state. You got North Carolina, you got Georgia, you got Tennessee. All these areas, even parts of Virginia was hit with this. So look at this. I want to show you this. Look at this gaslighting going on. After the deluge, the lies, misinformation, and hoaxes about Helene could cloud the recovery. So not the fact that FEMA was 7 days late. No, that's not hampering the recovery, but the spreading of misinformation. Let's read this. This is from the Associated Press. The facts emerging from Hurricane Helene's destruction are heart-rending. Businesses and homes destroyed, whole communities nearly wiped out, hundreds of lives lost, hundreds of people missing. Yet this devastation and despair is not enough, watch this, for the extremist groups. Now, who are these groups? Oh, they're the ones that are spreading disinformation agents, hucksters, and politicians who are exploiting the disaster to spread, quote, false claims and conspiracy theories about it and the government's response. According to the former president, Donald Trump, the federal government is intentionally withholding aid to Republican disaster victims. They just said they don't have any more money to give, which they do. And let's read on. I'm going to get worked up. Quote, far-right extremist groups warn on social media that officials plan to bulldoze affected communities and seize the land from residents. A tale straight from science fiction asserts that Washington used weather-controlled technology to steer Helene towards Republican voters in order to tilt the presidential election towards Democratic nominee Kamala Harris. The claims, according to experts and local officials dealing with the disaster response, say less about the reality of the widespread damage from Helene than they do about America's fractured politics and the fear and distrust shadowing an election year marked by assassination attempts and escalating global tension. All right, here's another report. A major North Carolina newspaper knocks Trump over Helene response and his falsehoods. Well, let's see what this is about. A leading newspaper in North Carolina is blasting former President Trump over what it calls his falsehoods about the government response to Hurricane Helene, which devastated a large swath of the state last week. Quote, "This is not a situation to capitalize on for political gain. But former President Trump has, quote, politicized the situation at every turn, spreading falsehoods and conspiracies that fracture the community instead of bringing it together." So it's Trump's fault. He's fracturing the community. He's destroying it with his conspiracies and his claims. Quote, the editorial board of the Charlotte Observer wrote, quote, "By every indication, state and federal agencies have been working to help people in need." Well, have they though? Because I don't care what you say and your liberal left-wing rag, I listen to the locals. I listen to people who are there and what they're telling me, not what you're trying to tell us and what you're claiming. Quote, "They've been airlifting food and other supplies to affected areas." Well, again, I'm hearing a different story from sources on the ground. And the paper said that, quote, "There are no evidence to support any of those ridiculous claims that's made by Trump." Quote, "They accused him of capitalizing for political gain." Then I thought this was interesting. This is all the backlash that FEMA got, so they had to do some talking. They had to give an account of what's going on. So FEMA responds by insisting that the criticism of the way they're handling Helene is, quote, dangerous. And how dare the audacity of the people that are criticizing FEMA. All right, let's watch this video. Here is the director for FEMA. I want you to hear what she says.
So much is going viral online as well. One user suggested yesterday that a militia should go against FEMA, got more than 500,000 views. What kind of impact has this had on the recovery effort?
It has a tremendous impact on the comfort level of our own employees to be able to go out there, but it's...
Oh, the comfort level of the employees. I mean, after all, you know, they're put in harsh environments as it is. Do you know how hot and sweaty and humid it is out there, especially after all that rain and the water? I mean, we all know, especially like us in the state of Georgia, you get those heavy rains and that all goes away. It's going to get so humid and hot, and you are, if you've got air conditioning, you're going to be in great condition. And thank God these poor FEMA workers have air conditioning in those trucks. And when people come out and they criticize their agency, it is the welfare and safety of the FEMA workers is, oh, this is so dangerous. I mean, can you guys in North Carolina, I know you ain't had no electricity. You don't even have a house. You don't have power. You don't have food. You don't have water. You don't have supplies. But can you at least take a moment and be thankful for the FEMA workers that are there for you?
Also demoralizing to all of the first responders that have been out there in their communities helping people.
Yeah, you know, the ones that came 7 days late.
FEMA staff, volunteers, the private sector that are working side by side with local officials to go out and help people. I need to make sure I can get the resources to where they're needed. And when you have this...
Why? Lady, they didn't need you. Because 7 days you weren't there. They were already doing it. They took care of it.
Dangerous rhetoric like you're hearing, it creates fear in our own employees. And we need to make sure we're getting help to the people who need it.
So guys, that right there was an example of gaslighting personified. Did you notice how they turned it on all the locals that are fed up, they're mad, they're angry, they're crying out, "Where are you at?" So they're blaming the locals who are reporting out, they're getting the word out that FEMA didn't show up for 7 days late. They're not doing anything. They're standing around with their clipboards and their pens and waiting on the flyers and sitting in their air conditioning trucks. So when the real news comes out, they turn the table and they make the victims the enemies. And they call them dangerous and their rhetoric dangerous. And say, well, they're hampering rescue efforts and they're the reason why we can't get the food distributed to them because all of our workers are cowering in their air conditioning trucks in fear. All right, then we got this clown in the White House. And I'm honestly, frankly sick of seeing her and listening to her, but I know this is brutal, but we're going to put you through another clip here. Listen to this.
As another hurricane is expected to hammer Florida tomorrow, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre clashing with our very own Peter Doocy over federal aid for victims of Hurricane Helene. Watch.
President Biden is fond of saying, show me your budget and I will tell you what you value. If he's got money for people in Lebanon right now, without Congress having to come back, what does it say about his values? There's not enough money right now for
His
people
values,
in North Carolina who need it. That's not misinformation.
No, the way you're asking me the question is misinformation.
Did you hear that? It's the first thing they shot out. Misinformation, 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 gaslight, gaslighting. I mean, the reporter is absolutely baffled. He's like, how's this misinformation?
What you're asking me is why Congress needs to come back and do their job. That's what you're asking me. Congress needs to come back and do their job and provide extra assistance, extra funding to disaster relief fund. That's what Congress needs to do, and we're going to continue to urge that. You may not want that, but that's okay. That's what this president wants, and that's what the vice president wants. Thanks, everybody.
Wow.
Well, Jack Brewer lives in Florida, now helping some of the hardest hit areas by Hurricane Helene as Milton approaches. And he joins us now. Jack, good morning to you. So she clearly took offense to the premise of that question, but it's a question that many people have. So what do you think about that reaction, her response to it?
I think it's very telling. I think she responded in a way that someone that's offended would respond, and I think it is offensive. It's offensive to every American that we're watching billions of dollars go to folks in Lebanon and Ukraine and Iran and everywhere else, while we see our neighbors literally lose everything and it be destroyed. Listen, I've been on the ground for this disaster. I've been on the ground for numerous disasters across America and other countries. The way that we deal with natural disasters has to fundamentally change, and especially under the Biden-Harris administration, when you see our FEMA money going to illegal immigrants, and then you walk to and you talk to these Americans. I've seen two gentlemen from FEMA walking around the entire time I've been down here in Florida. And I'm talking about, Carrie, these houses took on 9, 10, 15 foot of water. They're completely destroyed. People are helpless and homeless, and they're just now getting trailers to try to reshape their lives and live in for the next few years until they figure out how to get their houses back. And so when you have a crisis like this and you don't see the President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States out front leading, bringing hope to people and actually trying to find solutions, if Congress needs to come together, let's have the president out there rallying to the American people to get it done. But you don't hear anything from these people.
And what do you think's going to happen if these people get elected into office? And we're not even through hurricane season yet. We haven't even got in. We're not even into the new year. What do you think's going to happen imagine this scenario? This same administration, how they responded, what they're doing, how they're responding, how they're gaslighting the victims. Think about this administration in another 4 years. Guys, our country will be destroyed. Now, all of this should not catch you by surprise. And here's why. Why are they? So here's the question. And you may say, well, Brother Ricky, why are they doing this? Why are they gaslighting like this? Guys, we've been warned about this. Remember, disinformation was the number one threat as elections approached. This was from the World Economic Forum report. Again, let me say that again. Quote, disinformation. Now, this was published in January of this year, so at the beginning of the year, they said that disinformation is the number one threat as elections approach. And this comes from the World Economic Forum. Again, when the WEF released its annual global risk report back in January, misinformation and disinformation were ranked as the most severe threat anticipated over the next 2 years. Again, they put this threat assessment above weather disasters. They put it above terrorism. They put it above cyber attacks. This was the thing that was at the top of the list, was misinformation and disinformation. So here is the point that I'm trying to make to you guys. What we're seeing with all this gaslighting going on, they are building the case. They're building the case to completely silence us as Americans. God forbid, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I can come back in here and say, you know what, I was wrong on this. And God forbid if I'm right. But if this continues in the trajectory that it's going, they are building the case to completely strip us away of our freedom of speech, which they already have. Let's be honest here. But I'm talking about on a whole other level, guys, like we're seeing in other places outside of America where social media is completely shut down. The websites are shut down. Any information that goes out that is completely against the narrative that the governments want you to know and what they want you to hear, you are assessed as a threat. Because you're spreading, quote, misinformation and disinformation. Thus, you're a national security threat. They are building the case of this. So you can't have an opinion. You can't question what's going on. Even if you're right dab in the middle of ground zero of a disaster that you're in, you witness firsthand, and you experience, and you try to tell your story, if it doesn't fit the narrative, you will be ostracized, you will be silenced, and they will gaslight you to make you look like a nut job, make you look like a conspiracy theorist, and make you look like a perpetrator or an instigator of false information, misinformation to divide and destroy the country. Guys, again, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't feel like I am. Listen, endtimeheadlines.org, endtimeheadlines.com. Guys, please download our free apps available on Apple and Android devices. Pick it up today. Hit yes to push notifications. Again, you'll be squared away and good to go. If you missed last night, we had a great time of prayer and intercession. And again, if you don't know this, every Monday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube, we get together as a corporate body and we pray over needs. We pray over situations. For example, we just prayed over Hurricane Milton that's barreling down on Florida. We prayed, we interceded, and we'll continue to pray and intercede, but we came together as a corporate body. Listen, if you're listening by Rumble or any other stream outside of YouTube, please come over here and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can be a part of these corporate prayer meetings at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern on Monday nights. Also, as always, guys, we want to give you the opportunity, if this ministry bless you, encourages you, informs you, equips you, if this is your home church, whatever the case would be, we want to give you that opportunity to be a blessing back. And again, we love all of our partners and you guys who contribute on a consistent basis, your emails, your messages, your letters, your cards. We read every one of them and we appreciate your support. And if you'd like to become a partner, pray about that. And you can do it 2 different ways. You can give electronically. There's several ways you can do that. You can go to the app. When you go down to the app and click on donate, it's going to take you to a page, or you can go to the main website. It's going to take you to a page where you can give, through Apple Pay. You can give through Venmo. You can pay through a Cash App. You can go to PayPal, or you can give by a major credit card. Or listen, if you're watching this, there on the chat on Rumble, right up at the top, it's pinned at the top where it says support in big bold letters. There's a link right there you can click as well. And of course, if you guys wish to give by check or money order, right there on your screen, you can give, make it out to End Time Headlines, P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia, 30655. So guys, listen, we love you. We appreciate you. We're going to sign off for tonight. We plan on being right back here Wednesday night, October 9th. Again, same time, same place, same channel, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, with another great word. So until then, I pray the Lord bless you, keep you, and may his countenance shine upon you. We'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.